Both the Eagles and Bengals are coming off great Week 7 wins here, and they will be facing off in Cincinnati in Week 8. My name is Tyler, here with my brother Ryan, and we're going to break down this Eagles-Bengals Week 8 matchup. But before we get into that, we do have a goal of getting to 100 new subscribers for these Week 8 prediction videos we have going out. We've been able to hit that goal the past couple of weeks thanks to all of our new members. So if you haven't already, go ahead, hit that subscribe button, leave a like and a comment. Let us know who you think is going to win and why. So, Ryan, Cincinnati Bengals beat their in-state rival, the Cleveland Browns, in Week 7, and the Eagles beat their division rival, the New York Giants, very handedly. It was a good welcome back party for Saquon Barkley here in Week 7. So they're going to be facing off in Cincinnati here. It's going to be a very interesting matchup because for me personally, and fans maybe agree or disagree with this, I definitely feel both these teams have not played to their full potential yet. The Eagles lost some leadership in the offseason with Jason Kelce and Fletcher Cox retiring. And so not like that's been an overall big loss on like what the on-field play that we've seen. They've been battling some injuries for sure, but definitely feel like they just haven't been the team that we know they can be with all the talent that they have. And I can say the exact same thing with about Cincinnati. They're starting to pick it up a little bit. They are on what is now called a winning streak after they beat the Giants also and Cleveland, two of probably the worst teams in the league, yes. But still feel like they're kind of getting into form a little bit. But from what we've seen up to this point, it's been wild card at best, if not still outside the playoffs here. Do you feel the same way about that?
Well, it doesn't help. They're probably in one of the toughest, if not the toughest division in football. Like Pittsburgh and Baltimore are two of the best teams. Cleveland obviously is not. But like them and I think the NFC North are probably the two best divisions in football at the moment. So
yeah,
all in all, I think that's one of the things holding them back. Also, I think you go look, like they lost a lot of really close games early in the season. You look at that Kansas City game. I still think that was a questionable PI call. They should have beat New England in Week 1. If the defense gets a couple stops in that Washington game, I think that they win that one also. Like Baltimore, they really should have won. They let them hang around. So it's been a game of inches for the Bengals this year, and this is a really explosive offense. They've gotten T. Higgins back. He caught a touchdown today against the Browns. Been a really good receiver for them. So all in all, I really think that this is just going to be a really tough game all around. I kind of going over to the Eagles. They were missing their two playmakers in Devontae Smith and A.J. Brown in that wide receiver room for a couple weeks. They got them back last week after their bye and are now kind of going and building momentum with them now. And I think this offense, you've really kind of seen them explode just because everybody has to spread out so much now. You have to cover A.J. Brown, you have to cover Devontae Smith, and then, oh, by the way, Saquon Barkley is probably still the best running back in the league, and he's running the football for them as well. So that for me, I think it makes this offense so difficult. This defense is definitely improving, I think, for them, for the Eagles. And all in all, I just think they're doing a great job of just getting after the passer, covering receivers. Like they're doing a good job all around for this defense. So
I think they want a little bit more out of Saquon. I mean, he only averaged 10 yards per rush today. And so want to improve on that a little bit.
It's also a good run defense in New York too.
Yeah, no, and that's what I was going to say today. To this, it's like with this performance they didn't have to throw the ball nearly that much. I mean, they ran for 269 yards, but I would be curious to see if that's one area where they kind of would want to improve on a little bit more, just in their capabilities, just to know that they can do it, and they actually can do it when you have the numbers. But if Saquon Barkley was actually having a day here. And so that's where I think I'm curious to see over these next couple of weeks, now that this seems like that they're fully healthy, how does this Eagles team do kind of week in and week out? And so I think this is going to be another good game. It's going to be interesting, too. This is going to be a much more vulnerable defensive team to go up against. And they've even had a couple of injuries today as well. Geno Stone got carted off the field today. Orlando Brown Jr., their right tackle, also left the game with a knee injury today. Left tackle left the game today with a knee injury. So those are going to be two things. Well, Geno Stone's probably not playing. Orlando Brown, that's going to be an injury that we'll need to watch kind of throughout the week as well, because I don't believe he was carted off the field either, unless it was from the sideline. But and now this Eagles team more healthy as well, even though they did lose Zach Bond as well in today's game. Had to monitor his overall status, nowhere near as big. But
yeah,
going up against a Cincinnati Bengals team, which statistically has given up a lot of yards and a lot of points. If you go look at the Baltimore game, obviously Washington as well, they gave up a lot of yards against two pretty potent offenses that can run the ball well. And if you go look at this Eagles team, they can clearly run the ball well with Saquon Barkley. How is Cincinnati going to try and stop this run? And then if they're able to do that, and then Philadelphia counters with the passing game, how are they going to do with a little bit of a weaker secondary with a guy like Geno Stone going out? So that's going to be the biggest X factor overall is the Cincinnati Bengals defense. I think Joe Burrow and this offense are really starting to click a little bit more, even though statistically they didn't have the greatest game today. Browns defense is still pretty solid, but
yeah, it's also a division opponent.
Division opponent as well, but Jamar Chase and T. Higgins are really starting to step up as well. They're even their talent around them. A guy like Andre Yoshavash, I think, has improved a lot. He stepped up during T. Higgins' time when he was out. So, and then you still have a decent running back room with Chase Brown and Zach Moss, kind of with that running back by committee. So, offensively, it's going to be very interesting on how they attack this Philadelphia Eagles defense. But on the flip side, though, the Bengals defense has similar performances against running teams like the Ravens and the Washington Commanders. I think it's going to be a long day for this Bengals team.
Yeah, and that's like, to me, where it comes down. I just think the Eagles are better in the trenches than the Bengals right now. And just to get into predictions here, I'm picking Philadelphia to win. I just think this is a really tough matchup for the Bengals personnel-wise. This is the Bengals that want to spread the ball out. They want this to be like kind of make it 7-on-7, where the Eagles are like, no, we're playing in the trenches. We're making this a very physical game. And I think that this Eagles team literally runs away with it. I think Saquon Barkley has another big game. I think Jalen Hurts is going to run for another touchdown or two. So I just think the Eagles are going to be the more physical team here.
That's kind of what I'm thinking about as well, because even though I mentioned the Commanders, they only gave up 108 rushing yards that game, but they gave up 170 to your Patriots in week 1, 149 in week 2, 155 to Carolina of all teams, 175 to Baltimore. And if I go and kind of look at Philadelphia as well and their rushing yards, I mean, their worst one was 113 against Tampa Bay, and that was right before their bye, and that was because everybody was hurt. I think Tampa Bay was game planning that they weren't going to throw the ball really at all. And so I think there's going to be another running team. I think it's going to be, if the Bengals win this game, it's going to be in a shootout. And I think that's kind of one of the few ways that I can see it. While Eagles, I think they can win in a shootout, but they can also go and win in like a 20-7 type game or like a 13-7 type game if that's kind of what it turns out to be, just because if they're able to control the clock and run the ball out with Saquon Barkley. So I am also going to go with Philadelphia here, but big matchup for both teams just because there's a lot of division games left, I believe, definitely for the Eagles, but also for the Cincinnati Bengals here as well. And it's an easier schedule, I would say, in my opinion, for the Bengals kind of after this week. While for Philadelphia, you got to still go play Washington twice. You do have to go play Dallas twice, which is not going to be maybe as tough as well. But then they're going to play Baltimore still, Pittsburgh also. So it's going to be a very interesting game here because both teams are going to want this game kind of keep that momentum going as they get into the tougher division games later on in the season.
Yeah, so we're both taking Philadelphia here. Let's go ahead and wrap this one up. If you guys have not already, please go ahead and like and subscribe. It's the best way to help out the channel. While you're down there, go ahead and leave a comment as well on who you think is going to come out ahead. Will it be the Philadelphia Eagles? Will it be the Cincinnati Bengals? And then we'll see you guys next time.